There is a lot of hope out there for what 5G can do for Europe, for Asia, for America, and a lot of investment going into that. And I want to talk about that and the future. So let me start by pointing out some of the real benefits of 5G, and then we'll go into what it means, how it translates into actual gains for all of us in our business and our personal life. Number one, we know more bandwidth. So we can get 4K videos, we can play games, we can communicate and information, much more information. More flexibility. 5G is more flexible, especially with slicing, with security. It has a host of new features that open up doors. More devices. We know more and more devices are coming online, and 5G can accommodate that. Lower power consumption. These devices can be made so that they consume much less power, which is a big benefit. If you think you're going to see thousands and thousands of devices spread all around this hotel, all on the city streets, in factories, we cannot be hooking those devices up to power sources and batteries. No one wants to change thousands or millions of batteries. Less latency. As you saw with the drone demo, latency is a huge issue. Anything you're controlling in real time, even a small amount of latency can mean the difference between it not working and it working. So now that we kind of know the basic features of 5G, let's talk about 5G as an ecosystem. I was at the hackathon yesterday, and I was going through all the different projects that people are working on. And they kept coming to me and saying, you know, we could do this without 5G. What's the thing about 5G that we can have in our project that we couldn't do today? Well, the fact is, most of the things we can imagine today can be done in 4G. But why is 5G important? So 5G is important not just because of what it offers an individual application, but because 5G is the platform upon which we're building. It is the next generation of internet. And with the qualities that I showed you, it will make improvements across a host of different areas. Yes, you could do that today with existing technologies, but the combination of everything together will open up new doors. And I want to remind people, 5G doesn't exist alone. It's not an isolated technology. Just like AI has been around 50 years. The original algorithms were developed 50 years ago. But it is only today that we see AI as so powerful. And why is that? Because AI alone, the algorithms alone, don't mean much. But they mean a lot when you combine them with faster processing power, with the internet, with all the data we're gathering, with robotics, with IoT, with all of this together, that makes the power of AI. 5G is the same way. If you pull 5G out and put it aside and say, what can it do by itself? Well, virtually nothing. 5G, the power of 5G is the power that all of these core technologies are advancing in tandem with it. So as the technologies advance together, that is where the doors open up. If you remove one piece like 5G, hold it back, don't upgrade it, then it is going to retard the ability of all the other technologies to take a leap forward. And that is why deploying 5G now is so important. So let's talk about the world that we are entering. By 2025, IDC predicts we will have 40 billion IoT devices. 40 billion. If you just look at that alone, we need 5G. These devices will have 80 zettabytes, and I'm not even quite sure how much that is of data, but trust me, it's a lot of data. So for that alone, we will need 5G. This is why we have to upgrade to 5G. The world around us is changing, and it needs bigger pipes, faster pipes, lower latency, more flexibility to support it. Let's look at some applications. Now, there are many areas that 5G is going to impact. It is going to impact Industry 4.0. It is going to impact our personal lives and the content we consume. It is going to impact our homes, and it is going to impact the office place. I can't cover that all in the next 20 minutes, so I won't even try. But what I will do is show you some examples in smart cities and in our lives where 5G will have an impact combined with other technologies. So I just flew in from Beijing, as I mentioned, where we're working with a lot of startups. And the Chinese are very focused on 5G. They are really pushing it, as you know. And one of their missions is to lower pollution. You know, I will tell you, when I was in Beijing recently, it was awful. The pollution was terrible. I didn't want to leave my hotel. But now they are actually they're installing smart streetlights. And on those smart streetlights, they are installing sensors for pollution across the city so that they can help better understand the flow of pollution, where it's accumulating, and how to reduce it. 5G will help with that. In Portland, Oregon, they are actually doing smart traffic. So they have teamed up with Carnegie Mellon University and SureTrack, a startup, to actually work on how to control the flow of traffic within their city. In San Diego, they are working on smart parking. They're working on smart parking for cars, but as we know, there's a host of new vehicles on the street. We see these scooters everywhere, these smart scooters. We see bicycles that are being deployed. All of these will have chips in them, and all of these will need to connect to the network for tracking, for recharging, for all these things. 5G will play a role in that. In Seoul, they are actually doing an experiment right now on providing 4K video on public transportation using 5G. And in Portugal, they are working on emergency response. So how do you respond and coordinate a response to a big emergency? And how can 5G play a role in this in all the pieces involved? In Singapore, they are, you know, in Singapore, if you spit out your gum on the sidewalk, you can get in trouble. You can get a ticket. Well, they're very obsessed with keeping the city clean, and they are actually using new technologies, video surveillance, technologies, AI, and they will be deploying 5G to actually monitor how people litter. And in the future, if you litter, your face will be identified and you will receive a fine without you even knowing it. And they may even, in the future, send out a robot to actually pick up your litter. In Barcelona, they are working on noise reduction. So throughout the city, with traffic, with construction, with people and different events going on, there is a lot of noise pollution. So they are installing noise monitoring sensors all throughout the city to actually target those spots where the noise rises above the legal level and then take action. Now I want to talk a little about the future. What is coming and how it will impact us. So in the future, we're going to see two distinct trends. One is autonomous devices. These are devices that will function more and more autonomously. That means without human control, without our intervention. Using AI, using 5G, these devices, whether they be drones, whether they be robots, whether they be devices like in our home that we use to control the temperature, or in a factory, we will come to expect that they just know what we want. They anticipate what we want, and they do it. We will also see a world where these devices must be integrated with each other. So here's an example of a home, a smart home, where you're going to have all your devices talking to one another. The same thing is going to happen in an office and in the home. And we are seeing a big competition now amongst the major players. Google with Google Home, Amazon with Amazon Alexa, where they are competing to become the central hub, the operating system for these devices. We are going to see it in industry too, because there needs to be compatibility and standards of communication between them to make them really effective. A big area for 5G is flying objects, whether it be drones, whether it be flying cars that are coming. We are going to need 5G, as you saw by that example earlier, because this is one of the critical use cases where 5G makes a difference. So when you have an object where even a second can mean the difference between them colliding with each other or not, latency makes a huge difference, and bandwidth, because the number of drones that we have flying over our cities right now is fairly limited. But in the next 10 years, there could be a huge number of drones flying, of robots on the ground, of different things interacting in real time at very high speeds. And so we're going to need to track all of these and coordinate all of these, and that is where 5G will be essential. We also know even Porsche today, as well as Uber and many other companies, are working on flying cars. Do I anticipate in the next 10 years we will have flying cars inside our cities? I do not. I've done research on it. It's just too big a problem and too risky. What we will see, though, is probably we will have flying cars between cities. So if you want to do a short commute from one city to another, they will have little flying car airports, and you will take your flying car. And that will be the first phase. Another thing we are going to see is more and more of our deliveries are not going to be done by people. They are going to be done by autonomous robots and vehicles. And even here in Riga, they are experimenting now, permitting these robots on the street, which I think is going to be huge. Because right now, there is actually a shortage of truck drivers, there's a shortage of delivery people, and consumers and businesses are coming to expect and demand that their products be shipped to them right away. So this sort of technology is necessary. There's a high demand for it. We're also going to see device as a service. So this is where, in our daily lives, we're going to be walking around, and there will be devices for us all over the place that we can essentially rent on the spot to do whatever we need to do. We need a copy. There might be a mobile copy machine coming around. We need our lawnmower mowed. We might press a button on our phone, and a little device rolls up to our lawn, mows the lawn, and goes wherever it's demanded next. We will own, I predict, far less devices because the devices themselves we'll just use them when we need them. We don't want to own them. We don't want to maintain them. We just want them on demand. Another change in our 5G world of the future is device as caretaker. As we know, many couples are very busy, the husband and the wife working, trying to juggle things. Already we have seen a lot of smart devices come out for carrying infants and children, and even young people, educating them. This is going to grow more common. We are going to use these devices more and more. But even more important is our elderly. There's, the population of Europe is aging. The population of China is aging. The population of Korea is aging. And in Japan, it's reaching crisis stage. So we are going to need these robots that come in and actually care for our elderly because there simply aren't enough young people trained to do so or even available to do so. So that will be a very important application of 5G in the future when you have these robots coordinating with each other, talking, communicating, and caring for people as well as our pets. So already I'm working with startups that are developing technologies that can actually care for our pets, especially me. I'm traveling 70% of the time now, so I don't own any pets. But even if you travel only 10% of your time, trying to get somebody to take care of your pet when you need it can be a real hassle, or it can be expensive. We're going to see more and more of these devices coming onto the market. And we won't just see big robots, big devices in our city. We are going to see tiny devices. So this is an example. In the palm of your hand, Rolls-Royce created a tiny device that can crawl inside one of their aircraft engines and inspect it. So why is this so important? Well, because right now, before they have this device, they actually have to disassemble that aircraft, that jet engine, to inspect it. That requires a huge number of man-hours, a big cost, and that engine is offline. So they can essentially do this by inserting these little robots into the engine. They look around. If everything's okay, they give it the green light to fly. They are building these tiny robots. These tiny robots will be everywhere. I'm working with startups now that are building robots that will go through the sewage pipes and detect leaks or problems or clogs. I'm working with robots that will go through the air ducts and clean out the air ducts. We will see little, what we call micro robots, all around us doing chores. We won't even be aware of them. Amazon, for e-commerce, is looking at a 5G world. And Amazon's mission is actually sell you more products. We all know it. They just want you to buy more. That has been their mission since day one. Well, right now, they have been doing everything they can to reduce the time that a product gets to your doorstep. So using statistical analysis and fast shipping, they can actually ship products to a city in advance that they know will be purchased. That is why you can get one-day shipping, because a product is already in your city waiting for you to buy it. Well, in the future, they don't want to do this as a group of people. They actually want to take it down to an individual level. So using data, what they want to do is actually analyze each person's buying patterns and what they use, what they consume, and before they buy something, they actually anticipate that, and they will ship them the product. So in the future, you will find products arriving from Amazon on your doorstep. You will open them up and say, wow, I needed that. Like I was just about to buy that. And it could be anything from toilet paper that you were almost out of to a new device, like a new phone. They anticipated they're going to want this phone. You will then have a decision, not whether to buy from Amazon, but whether to just keep the product because it's already there or return it. And why is Amazon doing this? Amazon is doing this for a simple reason. They are taking buying out of shopping. The products will come to you. You don't decide to buy them from Amazon. They're just showing up if you press the button, and then you can either keep them or return them. They also, in order to make this worthwhile, this is their vision for the future, in order to make it worthwhile, they need to lower the shipping cost, speed things up. So what they're going to be doing is deploying drones and robots and streamlining, like they have been doing, their entire delivery method, all of their logistics. So they're from the warehouse all the way to your front door will be, at some point, completely automated. No humans will be involved. That is Jeff Bezos' goal. And if you look at this, in the world of the future, we are going to see more and more factories becoming local again. Right now, our factories have moved to China, but China is too expensive. So they are moving to Southeast Asia. But in the future, these factories will start to come back to Europe and America. And why will they do that? Because they will be completely automated. The only reason they're in Southeast Asia now is the cost of human labor. As soon as you take human labor out of it, why would you ship a product around the world? You wouldn't. You would just manufacture it here. So if there's going to be, we have our president, Donald Trump, which I'm sure all of you love. I don't love him, but that's just my personal opinion. He keeps promising the American people we're going to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. I laugh at that because the only way real manufacturing is going to come back to America is when it's completely automated and there are no jobs or very few jobs. There'll be very high-end jobs. That is just the reality of the way things are going. So don't listen to him. Crime prevention. So another area that's really interesting is real-time crime prevention. You know, we are entering the Minority Report where we're able to predict crimes. You think that's crazy, but they actually have AI now that can actually analyze video footage and statistical trends and predict neighborhoods where crimes are likely to occur, and even people, by watching a video, watching how they're looking around, how they're moving, whether they are likely to commit a crime. When that happens in the future, we will be able to deploy a traditional police officer or maybe a police robot to that spot where the crime is likely to occur at the time it is about to occur and either prevent that crime from occurring or catch the person in the act of committing the crime. So the way we actually manage crime in the future is going to change. We have startups right now, one called Advanced Symbolics, which is actually using data gathered on social networks to predict the behavior of teens and whether they are likely to commit suicide. As you know, in America especially, we have had a number of school shootings where students who become depressed or angry and are mentally unstable actually will go on a rampage. We can use this technology to predict these things, and in the future, we may have security mechanisms, devices, robots built into schools to actually automatically protect the students, to lock the doors so the students are safe, to send robots or surveillance around the campus. All of these things will be coordinated, and they will be coordinated through advanced 5G along with the other technologies to make those environments that are now a big problem, especially in America, much more secure. Urban farming is another area. It's very exciting. This is an urban farm actually in France. So they are getting to the point now where they can grow crops. It's still expensive. It's a little too expensive, but the cost is coming down where we can grow crops in buildings using vertical farming. And some of these, like a startup called Ironox, are completely automating the entire process. So no humans, from the time you plant the seeds until you harvest, is all done with robots. As we do this, the cost will go down. The other benefit to this is climate change is happening. And as climate change happens in certain regions, it becomes much more difficult to farm because there isn't the water, there's too much sun, it's too hot, or too extreme temperatures. But in these environments, you can completely control the climate. You can completely control the temperature. You can prevent any outside pests or funguses from entering those environments, so you don't need pesticides. So this is really a bright future, and a lot of it's going to be using 5G, IoT, AI, all these technologies combined to make it actually cost-effective. Immersive education. So I'm a big fan of where education can go in the future. Right now, we teach in the same way that we have been teaching for hundreds of years, one-to-many in a lecture hall where we're spewing information and all the students are treated the same. In our future of our education, every student will be treated as an individual, and they will be able to learn at their own pace because we will have AI and robots interacting with them and applications that will actually adjust to their personal needs. If they're very good at math, it will accelerate it. If there's certain parts of math that they have trouble with, they will slow it down and go deeper on those. If they're interested in certain subjects, they will open those doors for the student to go down, even though the rest of the class is going in different directions. And I predict teachers will become more like mentors, more like they are there to help them grow emotionally, to help organize group projects where people interact with each other. But fundamental learning will take place on two different levels that will be coordinated. One, students interacting with advanced AI and robotics, and another, at the same time, interacting with their fellow students and teachers. Augmented shopping. This is going to be a big area. Right now, when we go shopping, more and more of us are shopping online. We aren't going to the mall. So if you're shopping online in your house, you're going to want more of an experience where you can really try on these clothes, where you can actually feel what they're like, feel the textures. We're going to be building this technology into the future of shopping. Amazon is working on holographic images right now for shopping. There's a number of virtual reality and augmented reality applications coming out. And if you think about the qualities of 5G, with the faster bandwidth, lower latency, they really play into this. And let me go a step further. Imagine this scenario where you AR chat with somebody. And in our next thing, in the panel coming up, we're going to have somebody remotely on the screen. But wouldn't it be nice if that person were actually, instead of being on a video screen, were actually projected to be sitting in that chair, and we had our AR glasses on, and we could see that person as lifelike? Well, with the greater bandwidth, lower latency, and the other abilities of 5G, we could make that happen. As you know, Google, Samsung, Huawei, all these companies are working on new AR technologies. It's not here yet. AR still has a ways to go. But I see a future when 5G really, when we really see the benefits of 5G, are when we enter a world like this, where we have either contact lenses or glasses that are non-intrusive, and we walk through a world where we are actually, the digital and the physical are combined in a mixed reality. So for us, right now it seems strange, right, to actually be walking through a world where you might not know on that wall whether, see these triangles up there? Those could be virtual or they could be physical, and you wouldn't know looking at them because the resolution and everything else would be so clear. There might be a painting on the wall, and I might see a Van Gogh Starry Night, and maybe you see a Picasso because Picasso is your favorite. We're in the same room, we're looking at a painting, but it's a different painting for each of us. We will be entering a world in the future, I'm talking not tomorrow, maybe 10 years from now, where we will be living in shared realities, realities that we both experience at the same time, and also divergent realities. Due to 5G, augmented reality, we will have the ability to actually shape and program our own reality. So the world that I walk through when I walk down the street, the for sale signs I see, different information that's displayed will be unique to me. You won't see those. And at the same time, there will be crossovers. And people's identity, even how we appear to one another, we will program those. Because if all of us are using augmented reality in the future, we will care just as much as we care now on your phone when you program your profile, when you post your pictures, you're spending all that time to communicate to everybody around you who you are, what you are. We will be taking that into the augmented reality space. And you can just begin to imagine what the world will be like. And this is where 5G is headed. So, I want to thank all of you so much for listening to me today. If you have a startup and you're looking for funding, we are going to be doing lots more in the Baltic region. So you can email me at vc@founderspace.com. We are always looking for great startups. And if you would like to cooperate, I look forward to it. Thank you.